भारी तुझ पंख लाभले बळकट सतेज भारी हे गरुड झेप तू घेरे उंच भरारी हे गरुड झेप तू घेरे उंच भरारी नव आकांक्षाची मनात तुझी दाटी डोळ्यात तुझ्या रे नव स्वप्नांची रे गर्दी नव आकांक्षाची मनात तुझी दाटी डोळ्यात तुझ्या रे नव स्वप्नांची रे गर्दी आकाश मोकळे तया गवसणी घाली आकाश मोकळे तया गवसणी घाली हे गरुड झेप तू घेरे उंच भरारी हे गरुड झेप तू घेरे उंच भरारी तू झटकून टाकी आळस दुःख निक्लेश तू झटकून टाकी आळस दुःख निक्लेश तू मनात असू दे ऊर्जानी उन्मेष तू झटकून टाकी आळस दुःख निक्लेश तू मनात असू दे ऊर्जानी उन्मेष पाऊल टाकिता विवेक तू सांभाळी पाऊल टाकिता विवेक तू सांभाळी विवेक तू सांभाळी हे गरुड झेप तू घेरे उंच भरारी हे गरुड झेप तू घेरे उंच भरारी असू आपण सारे अमृतमय रे पुत्र ना भीती पाठीशी शक्ती चिरंतन नित्य जा पुढे पुढे रे पुढे पुढे बघू नको माघारी जा पुढे पुढे रे पुढे पुढे बघू नको माघारी हे गरुड झेप तू घेरे उंच भरारी हे गरुड झेप तू घेरे उंच भरारी
अवधूत चिंतन श्री गुरुदेव सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय. परमपूजनीय श्री विष्णुदास महाराज, परमपूजनीय श्री सद्गुरुदास महाराज आणि परमपूजनीय सौ अक्काई यांना करून आजच्या या चौथ्या दिवशीच्या झेप या आपल्या कार्यक्रमाला सुरुवात करतो. गुड इव्हनिंग ऑल. Myself, Dr. Amrut Agasti. I welcome today's honorable guest, Dr. Parag Bhargav from IIT Bombay, as well as I welcome all our participants who have joined us in YouTube. Okay, so I welcome you all to the fourth day of this Jhep Personality Development Program for Youths. On the occasion of 21st anniversary of Patrabet and on the occasion of 31st Punyatithi of Param Pujaniya Shri Vishnudas Maharaj, Patrabhet, which is a spiritual magazine, has been organizing several programs throughout the year, starting from March this year. So this is Jhep, which is a program which is basically focused on the youths. So this Jhep, which is translated as Flight or Leap, is a program for guiding youths who are trying to leap forward in their careers. Okay, so it is basically for the age group of 16 to 25, the youths who are trying to get into their careers. So this reminds me of my early career days, where Param Pujaniya Sri Sadgurudas Maharaj and Sovakai have guided me in some crucial moments. So when while I completed my BTech from VNIT, I had a job offer from Infosys, and as well as an opportunity to do MTech at IIT Bombay. So I was really confused to what to choose, because both are good opportunities. So I asked Param Pujaniya Shri Sadgurudas Maharaj and Sovakai, and they told me that you pursue MTech at IIT Bombay, and then later on you do PhD, and then come back to Nagpur, and then you have to join VNIT Nagpur as assistant professor. So this is what both of them have told me way back in 2011. Okay, when I just graduated from VNIT. I did accordingly. I did my MTech. Later on, I did my PhD, and in 2018, an opportunity came from VNIT, and then I joined VNIT as assistant professor, and in 2020, I was a permanent employee there. I became a permanent employee there. So this is kind of a you can say guidance which you receive from Guru Mandir, and in order to guide the upasaks of Guru Mandir and the Patrabhet, we have, or rather Pragnadai, who is a head of Patrabhet, has been organizing several such events. So and his topic of lecture is finding inspiration, learning, career, and life through identification of higher purpose. So, can you just go to the next slide? So, as you have seen in the slide, that Dr. Bhargav is a professor at IIT Bombay. He did his BTech from IIT Bombay. Later on, he did MS and PhD from University of Alabama, which is in USA, and then later on postdoctoral research at Rutgers University. So this is his career graph. The love for the motherland has brought him back to India, and then he joined IIT Kharagpur, and later on he joined IIT Bombay, and now he's a professor there, and he has a teaching experience of over 20 years in both IIT Kharagpur and IIT Bombay. He has guided 25 PhD students as well as 100 master students, and his teaching experiences I have already told you. The research interests of are just noted down only 3, but there are several which I also know. So ceramics, solar cells probably everyone of you might know. So solar cells is one of his research interests, as well as silver paste, which is a material is used in solar cells. So the research interests are like this. He has published around 150 research articles, as well as he has been granted 5 patents. Next slide, please. Yeah. Apart from these teaching and other things, he is also a co-founder of 3 companies. Okay, 3 So Ant Ceramics is a proper company, while Viz and Digident are probably startups. But Ant Ceramics is around 10-year-old company, which is a ceramic manufacturing venture. Again, the next company is MetWiz Materials, which is mainly deals with the manufacturing of lab equipment. And then the third one is a Digident LLP, which is a dental lab manufacturing for dental prosthesis. So the artificial tooth which we get, which are put into our mouth, that manufacturing is done by this lab. He has received several awards like Young Engineer of the Year by INAI in 2002, then Excellence in Teaching Award from in IIT Bombay in 2008 and 2016, as well as a very prestigious award or a fellowship, which I think probably not more than 20 people have been selected for this fellowship, which is a Chevening Rolls-Royce Science, Innovation and Leadership Fellowship, which is offered by Oxford. So he was there for around, I think, 2 to 3 months at Oxford University in 2015. Apart from all these probably technical details, he has several social interests. So he has, along with his team, he has developed an app for malnutrition, which is called Smart Health Baby, which is available on the Play Store. One more thing which he does is he runs libraries for underprivileged guys in slums around IIT Bombay. So that is the second thing. And also he has delivered a TED talk at IIM Ahmedabad on a similar topic. So you can see the logos of the companies which I have mentioned right hand side, and as well as Professor Bhargav giving a TED talk at IIM Ahmedabad. So, this is about his social interest and all. So what with sir's permission, I wanted to play a small video of yours, which is on this how you are running libraries for the underprivileged students in slums. So, Abdul, can you just go to the next slide and play that video? We can play probably a small part of video. So because sir has to get proper time for that. You can enable content probably. Enable content. Okay, I don't know, some problem with this thing. Okay, probably we'll play that video at the end. This is what I think. Okay, so yeah, so that video was made by him for which is focusing on the underprivileged students, how the work has been done there. So that is the social interest which he has. This is just a brief biography of Professor Bhargav. He has a lot more other things which I can also share about him. He is a very humble and down-to-earth person. So when we used to do our lab cleanings and all, he used to take part in all those activities. So he is a very humble and down-to-earth person. He is connected to the spirituality in his own way. So I remember one session in which Professor Parag has asked his students to write answers of some of the philosophical questions. So those were not technical questions. So in that, one of the question was, what is the aim of your life? So that session I remember quite a lot. So everybody answered accordingly. But finally, he told us that one should know his or her aim of life, and finally should strive hard to achieve it. So that is what he has said about that particular question. So this is what I wanted to tell about sir. I have a lot of such incidents to tell about him. but due to limited time, I'll stop here. I'll not take any more of your time. I know that you all are eagerly waiting for sir's lecture. So I'll now request sir to start his lecture. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Amrut. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, in case there is any trouble in hearing, you can let me know. Sometimes there is an issue. I'll connect a headphone, but as long as I'm fine, I can be heard now. It's okay.
Sure,
So
sure.
thanks to you and thanks to all of you, all the organizers. Okay, it's so nice. I watched that initial song, and then whatever you mentioned about the fact that this program is for young people. It's such a pleasure to find such opportunities, to talk to young people. So I'm thankful to all of you for that. And before I start sharing my presentation, I just wanted to say that even though you have heard a sort of a detailed introduction, I'm not going to talk about anything related to what I do at IIT Bombay. In case any of you wish to connect with me on things that I do at IIT Bombay, of course, we can do that. I'm happy to connect always with, with everybody and of course, young people who are here. So with this, I would start. I have a presentation that I will just share. Just a minute. I hope the screen is visible now.
Yes, sir. Yes,
All right. So this is about, I guess, the origin of this is maybe about a month ago when Dr. Amrut approached me, to sort of give a talk. And as I said, I'm always happy to find this opportunity. And I kind of chose this title based on what Amrut said about, who's the audience and what's the overall purpose. So, and you can notice besides the fact that, the other keywords about learning, career and life, the two important keywords here are inspiration and higher purpose, of course. And you will see, hopefully I'll be able to justify the title, little bit. And then if you have questions, I'll be happy to interact with all of you. So, just to begin with, I actually have just put pictures of people. I think most people here, all of you. And the common thing about all of these people, of course, is that all of these people are highly inspired, or they were highly inspired to do whatever they did or whatever they are doing, right? Each one of them in their own ways, in their own rights, and you are aware of their contributions, right? Most of these people. Of course, I have added one person. I have taken the liberty to add one person about whom I'll talk about later. This lady here, you will see, again, I mean, it's not always necessary that a person comes under the category of inspired. And I'll share with you this lady. Her name is Dr. Rupal Dalal. And I'll show you why I think, she's such an inspired person. Okay. And like I said in the title, I said, inspiration is very, very important, extremely important, right? And there are other, sort of things that I want to share, but I wrote something down here, because some of the things that we want to talk about also concern success. All of us are always concerned about, being successful in our life. And that's why I sort of put this thought down that success, cannot see any limits. There is sort of, I mean, if you think about all these people, the kind of things they are doing, they never saw any limits to, what they could do. As long as, and I feel if you're truly happy with what you're doing, then I don't think, there is any limit to the kind of success that you can achieve. So it's extremely important to be happy doing what you are doing. Okay. And I'll be talking about that as I go along further. And the other thing I have just put a statement here is that if we can be happy, okay, in whatever we are doing, then I think everything else that you can think of, whether it is materialistic gains, whether it is fame, whether it is impact on the society, everything else is a byproduct which comes on its own. So you will see, in fact, not only these people are all inspired, but hopefully and probably I've not met, in fact, most of them I've not met in person, but I would guess most of these people were happy people. I know Dr. Rupal Dalal, she lives in Mumbai, and I know she's a happy and inspired person. So we'll talk about these things as we go along further. Now the question, I'll come to that question, but I still want to say one or two more things about inspiration. Okay, so when one is inspired, okay, all of us want to be inspired, I suppose, when we want to do things which make a difference, maybe to our own lives, to our families, and to society at large, right? But if you are inspired, then things like these happen. That as you saw pictures of these people on the previous page, maybe just one person like Vikram Sarabhai, and there are many. Okay, so don't take this list as a limited list. But when you are inspired, just one of you is enough to bring or to catalyze a major change. Okay, sometimes we feel, right, we think about something and we feel, okay, how can I do this? I'm just one single person. What can I do to influence something which has a far reaching impact? But history is sort of witness to the fact that just one person in so many situations. Of course, these people had their teams, they cultivated teams, they inspired many more around them. But eventually these people, in one sense, they were the people who saw those dreams, who had that kind of vision, that kind of leadership, that one single person could move around these, inspire all these large teams and achieve what they could. And everybody knows the contributions of Vikram Sarabhai, for example, ISRO, or Homi Bhabha, for example, for Bhabha Atomic Research Center. And I have these names also because, finally we are somewhat connected to science and technology. But just imagine if this man, whatever he has done has everlasting impact for this country and for probably centuries to come, right? So just one person, highly inspired, and could do so many things. And so in similar spirit, Dr. Varghese Kurian, and again, many of you may know that, again, there were other people helping him, but he kind of led from the front. In those days, a person who is from Kerala lived in rural Gujarat, and look at what he was able to achieve with other supporters of him or other associates. And, the other very interesting thing about Amul, which I don't know whether how many of you know, is that it is not a company owned by a few individuals or listed on stock market. Okay, it is a company which is basically, it's a cooperative, so it's owned by the people, so it's owned by the farmers of that state, right? So if the company does well, the farmers do well, right? So this is something amazing that was done in those days, and it still continues to do very, very well. And a lot of places around the world, in India, around the world, the Amul model has been, replicated, and people have gotten inspired by what Varghese Kurian did. He had many other contributions as well besides Amul. Now, I intentionally put this statement, okay, may not be the exact words, but Swami Vivekananda's words, and I saw his picture and a quote, I think, or maybe a quote in the poster for, this program. And and I think, again, he's one of those people whom you would put, he was class apart, I guess. The kind of energy he had. So he said in some maybe different words, but essentially what he meant was, give me 100 energetic youth. And here are all of you, okay, all you young people listening in, hopefully. So he said, give me 100 energetic, and 100 is not a large number, right? You must be more than those numbers here today. Give me 100 energetic youth, and I shall transform the country. So, it's sort of resonating with this idea, which I said, you have to believe in the fact that one person, which means it can be you, it can be any one of you who can make a big difference. It can be any one of you who can impact literally, at a countrywide scale or at international scale, right? But you have to be inspired. That is what I've been trying to say. So when we move along, we can talk about the word inspiration. How do you get inspired? Where do you derive inspiration? Okay, so that's why I have this sort of put as a question now. How do I find endless inspiration? There's always this discussion. I interact with a lot of students, young people, right? They say that, okay, we are inspired, we hear things, we are inspired on that day or for that particular time. But the next day or the following weeks or months, we are back to our regular day-to-day work, and we kind of lose that inspiration. We don't remain inspired, right? And all of these people whose pictures I showed you, whose names I took, all of these people were inspired endlessly. right? Their inspiration was never reducing. I would think that as they were living, their inspiration was just going up and up, and they were passing on the inspiration to other people. So how do you get endlessly inspired? So I have some thoughts to share. Okay, there may be many ways of answering this question, or finding, or there must be so many ways to find endless inspiration, but I have a few thoughts that I want to share with you. So this is one, okay. And believe me, I'm not trying to say the inspiration is what you see in the picture. So the inspiration, I'm not trying to tell you that the inspiration is money, go after money. No, not at all. You will hear from me why I am showing this picture, okay. Um, so if you are inspired, what I mean by saying this is, if you are inspired, you will get the maximum returns out of your life. And I'll tell you why I have put this picture. Okay. So here is a small story which I have kind of, gotten habituated to telling, or when I talk to young people and others, that imagine when all of you, today maybe you are in your whatever late, somewhere in the age, as Amrut said, close to 20 or slightly over 20 years. But what I want to relate to you, the story that I want to relate to you, and it's an imaginary story. Okay, it's not real in one sense, but you will see it is also real on if you look at it from the other perspective. So what I say is, imagine when all of you were just born. Okay, you were just a baby, you were born, and let's say, just imagine in hypothetically that I somehow came and met you. Okay, or maybe you had some other people who came and met you and said that, look, when you are born, we'll open a bank account for you and deposit this amount in your bank account, 29,200 rupees in your bank accounts. Okay, each one of you. Now, the thing is, I am saying, okay, we'll deposit 29,200 rupees in your bank account right the day you are born, right? So what I'm saying is that in doing so, I'm depositing that money, but I'm putting certain conditions. And what are those conditions? The conditions are that as you grow older, okay, as you come to a age, in a young age, the condition is that you cannot work for earning money. You can work, you can do anything, but the condition is you cannot earn money. You have been given already 29,200 rupees the day you were born, right? Without asking anything. But this is one condition. The second thing that is there is that that bank is slightly different kind of a bank. That bank account that you have, you are going through, you're growing up, but that bank account will not give you any interest. So the money remains the same until you start spending it. Okay. Now the thing is, I asked that question, that we gave you that much money, 29,200 rupees in your bank account when you were born. It is not going to earn interest. And the condition was you should not work for money. So it's a very strange condition, which means all I'm telling you is you have 29,200 rupees to live all your life. Okay. Entire life. How does that sound? I'm sure most people, when I'm seeing their faces right now, I can't. Most people, sort of nod that, oh, this is not possible. It's impossible to live my life in 29,200 rupees. Okay, sounds too little. Okay. But then I say, here is the part, here is that imaginary story part. I made one assumption in telling you this story. And this is when you will realize it is real. It's not imaginary. So replace that, what I said, rupees by days. So if I say I deposited 29,200 days, I gave you 29,200 days when you were born. Okay, why do I say that number? I made an assumption that most of us, okay, on an average will live for 80 years. If we live longer, great. But on an average, we live for 80 years. And 80 years into 365 is 29,200. So isn't it real? When you were born, you got that much bank balance, but the bank balance was in terms of days, which is correct. Roughly, maybe slightly more, but not too much more, maybe. I mean, maybe 90, 100 years, it'll go to 36,000 from 29,000 if you live 100 years, right? But still, it is somewhere in that range, right? And this bank balance does not really grow. You can't increase it by working, right? Rather, as you live your life, as you live each day, every day, 1 rupee or 1 day is deducted, right? So that's one thing. Why have I subtracted some number? This is, I think, equal to, maybe, I don't remember, but approximately taking your average age in the range of some 20 years. So that much you have already lived. So your bank balance currently may be in this range. And second thing, which I say, okay, don't take it all positively, optimistically, right? And I'll tell you why. Now imagine if you have an average age of 20 years. If I ask most of you that, can you imagine one day, right now you're 20 years, you're young, you're the youth. One day you will be turning 50-year-old, right? How does that sound? Okay, it may not sound, I don't know, it may not sound pleasant for whatever reasons, and it may sound unreal. How can I be 50-year-old? You may feel that that's not possible, right? But the thing that I want to tell you is, of course, everybody does turn 50-year-old one day. I mean, I've just chosen a random number, but the thing is, from 20 to 50-year-old, becoming a 50-year-old, from 20-year-old today, it takes only about 11,000 days. So in the next 11,000 days, all your important events of life happen. What are those kind of events? You complete your education, you get your job, you want to get a house, you want to buy something, you want to buy a car, you want to get married, you want to have children. Your children will grow up, and maybe the children will be so old, I mean, will attain that age that they will again be going back to college like what you are today, maybe, right? So in 11,000 days, all of that happens. So sometimes to me, it always felt that this is a very small number. And why am I saying that is, think about it. When I tell you 29,200 rupees, you feel, oh, it's such a small amount. It's the same thing for life. Life is not very long. It is short. And why am I saying that? Because we should value every day. Imagine if you had a fixed bank balance of 29,200 rupees, which is every day decreasing by one. And if some friend came to you and said, "Arey 29,200 में से मुझे 100 rupees दे दो ना," most of you would want to, I would want to think, "Arey before giving, कैसे दे दूं?" It's very limited, right? Same way, how much value we should attach to each day that we are living, how much value we should attach to each week that we are living is very, very important. And when you realize that life is short, when you realize 11,000 days and you'll be 50-year-old, then you suddenly can think in a positive way that I should make the best use of my time, right? Get maximum returns, right? So we should make the best use of my time. And when I think of this, I will also feel additionally inspired in terms of, we may have other thoughts, but this thought that, okay, I have limited time. I want to do my best. I want to do what I really love to do. That way you will feel more and more inspired. So take it positively. Think about the value of time. Okay. That's why this kind of, I was trying to relate to you this story. And, I found this picture somewhere. I don't know, somebody shared it. It says, the trouble is you think you have time. And I think nearly everybody thinks that, अरे जिंदगी पड़ी है. But actually ऐसे नहीं होता है, right? Life is limited. Time is limited. We have to value it. We have to think about it. What did I achieve today? What did I do today which I really love to do? What did I do today which brought smile to somebody else's face? Things like those, so that value addition, okay. Or did I really spend time talking to my parents or grandparents or people whom I love? Something like that, right? So you have to value your time, and it is limited. It is not unlimited, okay. Now I have put some facts, okay, and everybody knows these, but I'm just trying to put some perspective to it, right? All of us know that when we came to this world, we didn't bring anything, right? Nothing. Who brings anything? We don't bring anything. We just, we just arrive, right? And the other thing is, of course, everybody knows that we will not be able to carry anything also, right? I can't carry, if I buy a car and I love my car for whatever reason, I can't carry it when I'm leaving this world. And I mean, nobody, I mean, whether you are a rich or a poor person, even if you are Mukesh Ambani, you are rich, you can't, carry your property or anything, right? So it's very important to, I mean, all of us realize this, but the most important thing is, I think, to be able to use this idea in our life. See, any kind of philosophical statements are not only for sharing and discussing, but they are more for, applying in your life, right? And how do I apply it? The best way I think of applying this is, if I didn't bring anything and I'll not be able to take anything, then why am I worried? don't need to be worried about anything in life. I will not be able to take anything from here. All I need to worry about, if at all, and that too not a worry really, is all I need to think about is that I should have that bare minimum at least, which I need, some bare minimum clothes, some reasonable kind of house. I don't have to have a huge house or whatever, but other things probably will take importance, right? So the other way of thinking about it is, I didn't bring anything, I can't take anything back, then why don't I take risks in life? Risks which are positive risks. I should take risks which allow me to do things which I really love to do. Okay. So, and when you take risks, then only there can be gains. If you played very safe, you can't gain, right? So you have to think about taking risks. And somebody once told me, we always, people who are educated always keep talking about this taking risks. Somebody said the biggest risk taker, typically anywhere or even in this country, is the farmer. Okay, we may think we are taking risk, but the farmer is the biggest risk taker, because the farmer sows the seed and then just waits for, somehow, at least during monsoons, you have water, and then how you will have water during the rest of the year for irrigation or whatever. That's a big risk. If the crop gets destroyed, what do you do? So the farmer takes risk each year after year for people like us, who are sort of, you know I mean, they are feeding us, right? So taking risks, okay, is one lesson that comes from this. Practical, apply every thought. Next point I put is materialistic comforts. Whether anything that you think of, you buy a furniture, you want a better and better furniture, expensive thing. Okay, at the end of the day, more and more that you look for, richer kind of things, materialistic comforts, which if you are in a situation where you are not really in touch with intellectual challenges, then I think in long periods it does not help. These materialistic comforts that we keep acquiring are good for a short time, and then you lose all that charm, right? And they never bring sustained happiness. And we have to think about it. We have to apply this in our life. Also, the fact that based on this statement itself, like I said, we came to this world with nothing. We can't take anything from this world. So why are we worried? Why should we be thinking, oh, I need security, I need security? We feel insecure many times, right? So I think that statement almost follows from there, that either we will be secure, we'll be just feeling secure all the time. Okay. Otherwise, our search for security in life will never end. You can keep getting things or keep getting education more and more, and you will never feel secure, right? So the security comes from where? Not from outside. Security will come from inside, within us. Once we realize what I need to do, what I want, and when I have that at least bare minimum, of course, if I have more, it's fine. But if I have that bare minimum, why am I worried? Why should I feel insecure? Okay. And if you are really confident, if you are educated, you will never be hungry. Okay. You will always have something to do. So we should never worry about, we should never be insecure in life. Okay. And the next statement, I already mentioned that when I was talking about all those inspired and happy people, right? So this is a very important point, which I talk about this in this presentation multiple times, that it's very, very important to be staying happy. Okay, extremely important. And I know sometimes it's not easy, sometimes. Okay. And it's extremely important also for young people to think about it that way. Many times they are asked these questions, many times they are searching for those answers, that what should I do in life? And I think one of the answers is you should do really what you love to do. I know it takes time, it has to be discovered, but you must do always what you think you really love to do, and not what the society wants you to do, I feel. Okay. Sometimes even, there is pressure from parents, but I think in the long run, parents also will realize that the best thing for you is what you really are happy doing. Okay. Because otherwise you may do something by compulsion, but in the long run, it just does not work out. And the other problem is, you would have heard many, many cases where there are people who say, after they've lived, large part of their life, they say, oh, my real desire, my real thing, what I really wanted to do in life was not what I did for my work, or not what I did for earning my salary. I wanted to do something else. And then you see these people who are, old, but they still have that spirit. And then they say, okay, I'm going to do this now. But, it's different, right? Then you have lesser energy and all that. So you can't reverse the clock. So it's best it's best to make that decision early on, to be conscious of what you really love to do and do that, as early as possible, right? Because otherwise you have to track that path backwards. Lot of time is gone, and life is short, right? There is limited amount of time. So best is choose to do what you really love to do. That will make you happy. And when you are happy, as I say in the next point, when you are really happy, you will be very creative. I'm telling you. Can unhappy people be creative? I don't think so. I don't feel that. So when you are happy, you're very creative, okay? And you'll be very confident. When you are happy, your confidence always gets boosted, and then you will do things which will start making a difference. People will notice you, okay? And you will feel good about yourself, right? That you made a difference, right? So these are some facts, very, very important facts. Now, the other thing in terms of, the things that we have been talking about, to be successful, to be inspired, the other thing is to actually also, when I say, you have to discover what you really love to do. And it's not easy. It takes effort, discovering yourself takes effort and time, because we also get influenced by what the society thinks, what our parents think, what our relatives think. But finally, we have to discover ourselves, okay? For every person, every individual, it's important to discover yourself. So I will now address that part a little bit. And I have first put these things in form of questions. you know what is the purpose of my life? Of course, don't think that anybody will tell you, or anybody can tell you. I don't think anybody can tell you this, because what is the purpose of my life? It's your life. You have to figure out what the purpose is, okay? Is life meant to have a purpose? That answer is very difficult, and I'll show you a video if there is time. I don't think it's so important to think of this question, but it's rather very, very important to definitely think of the question that what is the purpose of my life? Why am I here? Okay. And everybody can have a different purpose, and there is no answer like that this is the best purpose. Okay. That a IIT professor or anybody, I mean, for that matter, a priest or whoever, or a spiritual person or a philosopher person, I think everybody will have views. They may have good views, but you have to discover your own purpose yourself, right? And I have put down here, can our education really prepare us for life engineering? I've just put a term here. you know Education helps, but it can't necessarily tell you. As I said, you have to do it on your own, right? Everybody has to make that effort on their own. And let me tell you this is one of the, besides understanding the importance of time, like I said, each day is important, right? Each day is important. uh, the next, after the fact that I said time is important, the next, I think, most important idea is to understand that this question is very, very important. And even if you don't discover your purpose, it's very important in a young age to at least have that question with you. Only when you have a question, you agree with, hopefully you'll agree with me, only when you have a question, then only you'll find an answer. If you never had the question, generally the answer will not be, may not come to you. You may see the answer in front of you, but you will not realize that's the answer you need, because you didn't ask the question. So it's very important to have that question in front of you. Okay. So I feel that if you pursue that path of asking that question, what is the purpose of my life? I think you have started on a journey which will help you maximize your potential. Okay. I'm telling you, I have experienced it, okay, in my life. When I was doing my PhD, when I was younger than what I am today, maybe closer to what you are, that time somehow I was searching for it, although I was not searching for it in these words, but I think I was still searching for it. And some answer came to me, and I realized that was the most important answer, which till today is driving me. Okay. And I'll tell you what happens really, how your life changes once you find the purpose of your life. Very, very important. Once you find the purpose of your life, you really can maximize your potential. Okay. And I've given some analogy here that an artist, for example, when you do a painting, when you try to do a painting like an artist would do, you really cannot progress with your painting unless you decide what's the theme, right? Same way it is about life. If my life is a painting, I cannot paint my life, as an analogy. I can't paint my life unless I decide what's the theme of my life, right? And for people who are in from technology, engineering, this is another analogy. that if I put you in a tool room, if I put you in a place where there are all kinds of tools and machinery, okay, I think you will just stand there unless you decide what you want to fabricate. So you have to first decide you want to fabricate, okay, then all these tools become useful. And same thing is about life. When you decide what you want to make out of your life, all the other tools like education, inspiration, whatever else become useful. So it's very important to, if hopefully you realize that it's not enough to be just educated like in terms of degrees. You have to have this query in your life, okay? What is the purpose of my life? And when you figure that purpose out, then your life becomes a beautiful painting, or then you make your life, make things out of your life which you really want to make. And the Japanese also have a term for this idea in different ways. You know, they call it Ikigai, which is almost the same thing, which is a overlap of all these things. You know, what you love to do, what the world needs, what you get paid for, what you're good at. It's an overlap of everything. And it's kind of the purpose. And it's like they say, you know, what is your ikigai, or what is it that makes you wake up every day and gives you all that energy to go around, you know, doing things very actively every day, right? So again, idea is to ask that question, and slowly, once you ask that question, you meet people, slowly you will discover it. And now what I want to say is, sooner you find it means sooner you find the purpose of your life, the better it becomes. Why? Time is limited. You want to know your purpose so that you can focus all your energies, right, into that. And I have said a few other things which I personally experienced actually. That once you discover your purpose, you know, you generally cannot stop smiling. You don't feel like you are running out of energy, okay, mostly. And you never say that I am bored. You are never bored. What is boredom? You forget all that. And you are never able to sit idle because you have a purpose. And there are other things that happen once you find a purpose. You actually start to find this world more beautiful, even with all the problems that we see around. You open a newspaper, it's full of negative news, lots of problems. But if you have a purpose, you start to get amazed with the beauty of this world. You start to find this world beautiful. Okay. And everything that you do, whether at your job, your profession, at home, otherwise, while meeting people, everything that you do usually connects to that one end goal, the purpose. And all the activities seem to get connected, right? So you kind of feel that kind of, you know, effectiveness, that maximizing returns, or, you know, making the best out of your life, or utilizing that limited bank balance in the most effective manner. And I put a question here: how will I know the purpose of my life? As I said, first step is stay with the question, think about that question, talk to many people, you know, interact, read books, you know, visit places, see different things. And one day, as long as you have the question running in the background, one day you will realize it just comes to you. The purpose just comes to you. Okay. I have put some extract from a book, okay, which is, I think, co-authored by Dalai Lama. And there are some interesting facts in that book, which is related to what we were discussing, you know, more like purpose and those kind of things. So here it says, how strange to see. I have just taken it randomly from some excerpts. That what this is talking about is that there is, even in the richest nations of the world, there is anger and discontent, okay, in countries like US, UK, Europe. And a lot of people, you know, want to, sometimes you see, want to migrate to all these, so to say, rich countries, okay, despite the fact that there are also issues there, right? I mean, I'm not talking of materialistic gains. Okay, so how does this get explained? Okay, and this is what the book talks about, that a small hint comes from interesting research about how or what makes people thrive. In one experiment, researchers found that senior citizens who did not feel useful to others, okay, were nearly 3 times as likely to die prematurely as those who did feel useful. So this speaks to a broader human truth, that we all need to be needed. How beautifully expressed in some sense, that every one of us, you know, that's what the research proves, that every one of us has that feeling somewhere inside, that hope, you know, I can be of help. That is when you are basically needed, right? Somewhere by somebody. Okay. So when you help others in some way, when you make an impact, when you make a difference, you know, it impacts your life indirectly in that sense. So it's so nicely said, we all need to be needed. Okay. And then there are, other things, as it says, that almost all religions teach these kind of things, and scientific surveys confirm these kind of things. For example, here it says Americans who prioritize doing good for others are almost twice as likely to say they are very happy about their lives, right? And we already talked about why it is so important to be happy, right? It's connected to success, right? And making effective use of our lives. In Germany, you see, people who seek to serve society are 5 times likelier to say they are very happy than those who do not view service as important. So, what's the conclusion in a way? Selflessness and joy are intertwined. The more we are one with the rest of the humanity, the better we feel. I feel these are some really beautiful thoughts, which again link in some way to the purpose. I'm not saying this should be the purpose of everybody. You can have whatever purpose you like, but this thing gets linked to whatever we are doing. Okay. Now, this is something I've put, maybe the people from science and even otherwise you can relate to, just in a, like, in a more lighter way, so to say. All of us are aware of, a little bit, at least when you've studied science, even in high school, you say, okay, here is the sine wave. But what I'm saying is, this is the sine wave of our life. Okay. This is our lifetime as our life progresses. What is the sine wave fluctuating between sukh and dukh, right? So every one of us has some moments of, sukh and dukh, and it keeps alternating, right? It's never constant. Okay, never constant. So it's like a AC signal, not a DC signal generally. Okay, but what I've done is, what I've shown here is, I've related it to purpose of life. So if you find your uddeshya, अगर आपको अपना उद्देश्य मिलता है, अगर अपने उद्देश्य को आप ढूंढते हो और उद्देश्य मिलता है और वो प्राप्त होता है, तो ये एसी सिग्नल जो इस टाइप का है, जो कि सुख और दुख के बीच में फ्लक्चुएट करता है, हो सकता है, ठीक है, कि वो आपका सिग्नल इस टाइप से हो, फ्लक्चुएशन हो रहा है, पीक है थोड़े सुख में, बट सुख की साइड में ही है ज्यादा, या ऐसा हो सकता है कि सिग्नल का एम्पलीट्यूड छोटा हो जाए. ओके, सुख है, दुख है, लेकिन दोनों छोटे हैं, या जैसे कुछ लोग कहते हैं कि सात्विक, सात्विक नहीं, आई थिंक वो मैंने सात्विक भाव बोलते हैं, हाँ शायद सात्विक भाव बोलते हैं, राइट? नहीं सॉरी, समता भाव, मैंने ये गलत लिख दिया है, सॉरी, दिस इज द रॉन्ग वर्ड. समता भाव, यहाँ पर समता भाव होना चाहिए. समता भाव मीन्स पॉजिटिव एंड नेगेटिव, you become so mature that you treat positive and negative equally. So you are almost on this axis, so there is no such sine wave, but that is very difficult. Very few people will have the samta bhav, but for some of us who are not so great or not so maybe evolved, for us, either it will become a smaller amplitude, or it could become like this कि सुख है, थोड़ा दुख की तरफ नीचे जाने लगता है, फिर जल्दी से ऊपर आता है. तो जब उद्देश्य मिल जाता है तो ऐसा होता है. मैंने बोला ना, उद्देश्य मिलता है तो यू आर हैप्पियर एंड ऑल दैट. एंड दिस थिंग कांस्टेंट इज वेरी वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू अचीव. कांस्टेंट पॉजिटिव, यू आर ऑलवेज सुखी, नो, we are humans, not possible, right? And I have given one more situation, more like in terms of science. So here is like damping. Okay, so you were initially, as you are living your life, and this is the lifetime axis, initially you had very large sukh dukkha, amplitudes, and then it's reducing. Why is it reducing? Maybe you are becoming mature, and maybe you found your purpose. So as you find your purpose, these fluctuations, these amplitudes, sukh dukh reduce, and then maybe you can arrive at a situation over the long period to the samta bhav. Okay, so this I'm calling as the wave theory of life, right? So but anyway, overall idea is, if you once you find your purpose, things become better. Now I come to another sort of theme here, that, oh, I have very limited time now. Okay, I didn't realize. I have to go a little faster maybe. Now, the next question is, what is it to be successful in life? I said little bit, and how can we attain success? Okay, and most often, this is just pictorial, but most often materialistic things seem to be related to when we say success. Okay. Now, how do we, even if that is the case, every one of us needs, right? As we realize that we do need some basic minimum, right? We do need money. It's a reality to live our lives. We need some, we may not want more and more of it. We may not want to be greedy, but we need it, right? And this is an interesting quote I came across. Somebody shared that the elevator to success is out of order. You have to use the stairs one by one. All of us sometimes, we don't want to climb the stairs, right? But getting to be successful is hard work. Okay, that's what it means. And I have put here, more in context too, and slightly repeat, but I'll quickly go through it. So the path to success, of course, like I already said, is the first thing that you need to do is to discover what brings you the most happiness. And sometimes it's not easy. People are not able to figure it out. So I think it's very important to pay some attention, make an effort to decide, to understand, to realize what brings you most happiness. And it is put in different words here. What can you do without getting bored or feeling hungry or thirsty? कभी कभी ऐसा होता है ना, हमको कोई चीज इतनी अच्छी लगती है कि हमें भूख प्यास रहती नहीं है, बोर्डम होता नहीं है, घंटों घंटों हम वो कर सकते हैं. वो क्या चीज है, that you should realize for yourself. In another terms, what will you do if your survival was guaranteed for life? If somebody said, don't worry about money, it's guaranteed, I'll give you fellowship for all your life, तो क्या करोगे फिर? Then you don't have to do the job for only for money. This answer is very very important. अगर ये आंसर मिल जाता है ना, तो बहुत कुछ हो सकता है, right? अगर survival guaranteed हो तो next day क्या करोगे is kind of, will link to your purpose also, right? And if you do not know any such thing, it's very very important to discover it. और इसमें आगे ये पॉइंट्स हैं कि ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, देयर इज नथिंग लाइक राइट और रॉन्ग, एवरीथिंग इज लिटरली राइट, कोई भी अच्छा बुरा कुछ नहीं होता, everything is good if it is good for you, right? That's really important. And this I already mentioned, unhappy people are not going likely to be successful at everything that they do. Now this is being very very practical. If some of you are encountering this, many times we hear, no, many students come and talk to me, college में admission मिल रहा है, JEE clear हो गया है, oh what is the branch that I should take, and everybody wants to do computer science, right? एक herd mentality, क्योंकि सबको लगता है वो best है, right? Or some people will tell you, no, ये you should, whatever you do after that you should do MBA. या कोई बोलेगा नहीं नहीं, मतलब अलग अलग फील्ड. Somebody will advise you, no, civil service is the best, IAS बनना चाहिए, IPS बनना चाहिए, या आजकल आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस मशीन लर्निंग करना चाहिए, ये आने वाला है अगले 10-15 साल में, या सिक्योरिटी लेनी चाहिए, गवर्नमेंट जॉब लेना चाहिए, प्राइवेट जॉब मत लो, so there are always people advising all this, but I feel none of it is meaningful, completely meaningless in a way, unless you can imagine doing any of these things happily. So this message is very important. Some of you hopefully realize. If you don't realize, please think about it. कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि कौन क्या बताता है क्या अच्छा है, फर्क ये पड़ता है कि what is good for you, what will keep you happy, because then only you will become most creative. By getting, अगर आपको 50 lakh का भी पैकेज मिल गया लेकिन you are not happy doing it, you will not be creative. Why are you wasting your time? Your life is limited. Better be happy. So that is why I put here things like these, which are very different, right? Gardening, agriculture. कोई भी नहीं सोचता कि agriculture, मतलब पढ़ लिख जाते हैं तो हम नहीं सोचते कि हमें एग्रीकल्चर करना चाहिए, या बहुत लोग सोचते हैं अरे कुकिंग या शेफ बनना क्या, ये तो बड़ा थोड़ा नीचा काम है, या ऐसे ही मैंने लिख दिया ड्राइविंग अ ट्रक, ये भी कोई करने की चीजें हैं, ये तो नहीं, या आर्ट एंड क्राफ्ट, नर्सिंग, टेकिंग केयर ऑफ एनिमल्स. But what I'm saying is, instead of these, or they are all in the same category, any of these could be great if you love doing it. That's most important. And when you excel, you will, when you excel at doing whatever, when will you excel? When you are happy. And when you are excellent in something, you will definitely create something which the world will admire. I'm telling you, it is nearly always happens. If you excel, and when I say excel, I really mean it. It's seriously, it's not, you cannot compromise. So when you excel, the world will admire, and you will see it makes an impact on others' lives, right? You will, and I have said this already, that you will excel when you are happy doing things. Okay, this is something a Nobel Prize winner said, and I think he said it very nicely, that he said many of us who think we are very smart, we get interested in many things, but he's saying, and I think it's very important, he's saying that smart people behave or act stupidly by being interested in everything. So his point is, don't get interested in everything, because कुछ होगा ही नहीं, फिर कर नहीं पाओगे कुछ. So you have to really decide what not to work on and focus on it. Okay, so that's his message. Okay, and this is what Swami Vivekananda said. Maybe you have come across same idea about focusing. It doesn't mean that actually one idea, but he's trying to say focus on something. Take up one idea, make that idea your life, think of it, dream of it, live on that idea. Let it completely, it's more like, symbolic. Let your body be full of that idea, and then you'll succeed. And there are two other poems which I really love about success, but in the interest of time, I can skip them. Maybe you can just think about, or you can read them little later on the internet. Bessie Anderson Stanley and Ralph Waldo Emerson have, written on success. What is it to be successful? But you will see in the keywords, it's not talking about money, it's not talking about house, it's not talking about car, but it's something else. And look at the last line, almost. To know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived, this is to have succeeded. आपके होने की वजह से अगर किसी भी व्यक्ति को कुछ आसानी हुई उनके जिंदगी में, तो वो सफलता है. I mean, very nicely said. And this is another very good poem. You can search it on the internet. We don't have that much time, but it talks about, have you earned your tomorrow? That's the title of the poem, and the author is Edgar Guest. And it's a beautiful poem, which links to success, purpose, many things. So I would urge you to, look through this poem, and you will realize how nicely expressed this is. Okay. So I summarize here. Okay. I have more slides, as long as only if the organizers let me present, then I'll go further. But let me first summarize. So what is the summary? You have to believe in yourself. Okay. Very, very important. Believe in yourself. Don't think, when many people will say, अरे तुम तो अच्छा नहीं हो, तुम ये नहीं करते, तुम मार्क्स अच्छे हैं या नहीं है उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. You may have different strengths. So believe in yourself, right? And try to excel in whatever you do in life. And you should recognize your strengths. ये बहुत important है. कभी कभी सबको लगता है, जैसे क्लास, एक कोई क्लास है, उसमें एग्जाम्स हैं, तो ऑफ कोर्स कुछ लोग टॉप करेंगे, कुछ लोग पीछे आएंगे, जिसे कहते हैं लास्ट में होंगे. दैट डजंट मीन दैट दैट पर्सन इज बैड और एट ऑल. उस पर्सन की स्ट्रेंथ कहीं और है, राइट? Everybody in that whole class, whatever marks you got, everybody has some strength. But sometimes हमें system ऐसा feel कराता है कि नहीं, I'm a failure. ऐसा नहीं है. Every one of you have strengths, okay? And every one of you can change this world. But you have to understand and recognize what are your strengths. And as I said many times, try to understand and recognize what gives you the most happiness. And don't wait to do this when you are retired, when you have very less energy. Do it early in your life, okay? And this already I said, find or set a purpose of your life. And very important that this purpose can be different from the work you do to earn your living. So you could do something which brings you some money because that's a reality, but your actual purpose could be something else which you do in your spare time, and otherwise you're always thinking of it. And again, very, very important, don't ever stop learning, whatever your age. It's not only for youth. Keep learning as much as possible about your work and the purpose of your life. Read, meet people, visit, observe, think, and you will see that lots of beautiful things will happen to you. If you are with this question of finding the purpose of your life, and if you do all of this, I think you will discover the purpose of your life. Now, I'm not sure what we should be doing. How much time do I have if the organizers can?
Sir, you can take up 10-15 minutes more.
Okay. No, so what I will do is, I will not show this video because this video is on YouTube, and this is, if you see this, I would request all of you, whoever are interested, to please watch this video. It's a beautiful video about success, purpose, so many things. But it's a 5-minute video. You can watch it later. I'll share with you few other thoughts, because this is an opportunity created. So now I go almost to the last part of the presentation where I say, we talked about success, we talked about purpose. If you do all that nicely, if you make good use of your time, then you will come to a point where you will yourself attain some conventional success, right? You will have, some things like, you have ensured, okay, that you have the basic minimum that you need to live your life. That is what I mean by, first you help yourself. And then once you are in that position, then maybe you can think of helping others, like we discussed, how it links in all those poems and that extract from the Dalai Lama's book. Now, so that's why I put this symbolic picture, India, where we all live, we can definitely connect with our country, and all of us who are capable, who are fortunate, we have got all this nice education, all these opportunities. We should definitely be thinking that what can I do? What can I do to the things, the situation that exists? How do I transform this country? How do I do my contribution to it, right? And this is just symbolic. How do I turn this country into something like this, right? The first thing is you have to decide that you want to, okay? And like I said, you can do your job and you can still try to contribute a little bit in different ways. And here is a list of things that I've listed, some problem statements. If you would have heard something called in Hindi or probably in Marathi, I don't know, it's called Kuposhan. Very serious issue in our country, right? 33% children are malnourished. All of you know, I don't have to say how much poverty we have in this country. We really need large number of inspired teachers in our schools and colleges, right? We may have good teachers, but we need more and more, so that that's where some good beginning can happen other than what you get from your families, okay? And somehow I always feel that in our country we do not emphasize so much hands-on work, the dignity of labor, as Gandhiji used to say. We should emphasize that. Somehow over the years, in recent times, I see that in our country there has been too much emphasis on creating wealth for self than for society. Although recently there was this beautiful news item, right, that Jamshedji Nusarwanji Tata, a person from India, is the topmost sort of philanthropist, okay? But nowadays we see a lot of emphasis on creating wealth for the self, even though we really need very little to live life reasonably well. We don't need that much. The other thing is we sometimes get easily satisfied and become comfortable in life, and we start to lack that desire to make a difference. We should not just become satisfied and sit comfortably. Once we have achieved, as I said, our basic minimum, then we need to go out, help others. Then the lack of technological and product oriented research. In India, we make very few things. We have to depend a lot on imports, because of which we never have become a strong economy. So those of us who are in science technology must work towards developing products in this country. And what this point means, alienation among different segments of society, means like sometimes we don't feel connected to people who are sort of from the low income groups. We feel, oh, we are from a different class. But we should always make those bridges. वो पुल बांधने चाहिए हमें. उनकी जिंदगी में हमें इंटरेस्ट लेना चाहिए. वो भी भारतीय हैं, वो भी हमारे देशवासी हैं, right? And this I already said, that we should all never forget this simple idea. We didn't bring anything to this world and we'll not take anything. So take risks. Okay, why are we worried? Don't worry at all. कुछ खो गया, no problem. तुम्हारा था ही नहीं, तो खो गया, खो कैसे सकता है, right? So this is one of the things, if malnourishment, if babies are malnourished, they look like this. Their brains don't develop, and about 10 lakh children die every year before they hit the age of 5 in India because of malnourishment. So we don't need this. We need things like these, right? And the malnourishment refers to the nourishment during the first 2 years of a child's life, and it has nothing to do with how fat the baby looks like. It's more about nutrients. It's very information oriented, and that's the app, that Smart Healthy Baby, we tried to create with Dr. Rupal Dalal's help, whose picture I showed. And I'll show you something which she did. One fact that all of you should know from this graph: look at this graph, child's age in years, and this is the brain growth percent. Okay, look at, by the time the child is 2 or 3 years of age, more than 80% of our brain has grown. Whenever I see this fact, I just can't believe it. Which means the maximum effort, if you want to put in bringing up children, young children, should be in first 2-3 years, because the brain is growing. That time, if you put maximum efforts, maximum sensory input, best nutrition, then the child would have exceptionally good brain growth. And I don't know whether you realize, brain is extremely important, for everything, whether it is immunity, it plays a part, whether it's our ability to understand things, it's our ability to be creative, all of that, a lot of our success. So imagine 1/3 of the children in this country are malnourished and their brain doesn't develop. So what will happen to such a country, right? That's a big cause for concern, which is what brings me to this picture. Again, that's Dr. Rupal Dalal. And these pictures were shared by her. This baby, okay, this baby is in that condition here, and this one, that this baby would not have actually survived the 5 years age. Very likely this baby would have passed away. But she's doing excellent effort. She's literally like an activist. She was settled in the US. She left all that, came to India, and has been literally working like, like an activist mode where she's sharing knowledge, training people, trying to save lives. I don't know how many children's lives she would have saved. So after she did interventions in one village, this baby, after some months of intervention, is like this. It's almost unbelievable that this baby not only survived, but look at how the baby is now. And this baby is like this after some intervention. So people like her are just unbelievable, saving thousands of lives. So I always tell her, we've not really, I don't feel I've done anything when I look at you. So things like these are highly inspirational, right? This is the other thing. Although this is older data, but this remains true in general. See, this is export import data. This is for Germany, this is for India. And the blue color on positive side is on the positive side. This color is on the negative side. So what this tells is every month of this particular year, 2017-18, Germany is positive, which means it exports more and imports less. So it's a net gain for Germany. So for example, in the month of June 2018 here, they have a net surplus of 22 billion euros. Huge money, right? In 1 month. And average is say 20 billion euros. You multiply it by 12 months. Imagine the money that's coming into the country by exports. Forget about investment and all, right? And because of that, of course, the country looks different. There's no poverty, there's no malnutrition. Nobody really suffers the way. Infrastructure is great. In India, in general, we import so much because we don't make, this is in 2017-18 comparable data. Every month we used to be negative. Right now we are not so negative because we are not importing because of all these COVID restrictions. But when things open up, we are always have been negative, which means every month, so much money goes out of the country, meaning we import much more than export. So we need to do this because Germany is like this, so much revenue. And because India is like this is how Germany looks like. And I'm not exaggerating. By the way, I always say, who's responsible for this? All of us. If we make efforts, we can at least try to bring it to zero, if not positive first. Okay. And now, because of all this, Germany looks like this, and India in general, sort of average of India may look like this, right? We need to change this. Now, this is the last part, and these are some pictures, so I'll just go through it very quickly. These are some excerpts from my journey. You already heard my background, but when I returned to IIT Kharagpur, this is what we started. One of the things we ran a website for 4 years. Now we are not running it. It used to be called youhelpindia.org. .com, and this website we developed to try to document all the best efforts in the area of education. We felt working with children in their early years and helping people get ideas and documenting the best efforts in education could help. So this is something we tried while I was still a faculty in my spare time. We ran a library in IIT Kharagpur. Okay, I mean not in IIT Kharagpur, sorry, outside in an area where all these poorer people were living. So this was the, one of the libraries, IIT students painted this, and all these children, of course, have grown up, right now they're going through meditation and all that, right? And we took them for various kind of trips, okay, to sort of excite them, to inspire them. And some theater, my wife is a theater person. She kind of got them into, doing theater, which makes them again more creative. And then, they had lots of other activities, and we would have this group of IIT students, we would collect books, we'll sort them out, put them into the library, and all of these things, which we did there. Okay. And we also helped children learn some of these hands-on skills. They were making things like these, and we did other things also. They made many other small things, where they sold things in IIT, but basically just to get them to understand some of these ideas, and again to feel inspired that if you really get some ideas, you get confidence, you become more hands-on, you can do many things in life, right? We ran a newsletter in IIT which was called Yatharth, again to inspire IIT students. Okay, it used to look like this, 2-page newsletter which used to come, which ran for I think 4 years. Every alternate Saturday morning, it used to be displayed in all hostel walls. We did something called postcard movement, where we would write on postcards to people. Let's say, I can write to some school which is in a village where the children want to practice how to write in English, but they don't know whom to interact with. So we could, link up with schools, and we could write. Imagine people from Mumbai writing postcards to some school, let's say in rural school in Andhra or even in Maharashtra. So we called it postcard movement. Then this Amrut anyway mentions this is one of the Ant Ceramics which was mentioned. They got President's Award. These are the other companies. And this is now a picture. This is my last slide. This is a picture from the libraries we were just running outside IT campus. Right now, of course, they had to close down. But that's what was, sort of, or my journey, and it's sort of ongoing. Okay. So I think that's where I'll end. And if anybody has questions, of course, I think organizers can help, and I can take some questions.
Thank you very much, sir, for a wonderful lecture. And I think the students or the youth who have listened to you, they'll think of what would be their aim of life, or what should be the purpose of life. And if they already have their purpose, probably they'll move forward on that. Okay, thank you, sir. So now I'll just ask Shubham and Varada to ask any questions. If you have any questions from the chat box, or if you have any personal questions also, you can ask, sir. Varada and Shubham, you can.
Thank you, sir, for your beautiful knowledge you shared with all of us. I think it would help a lot of people. And myself, Varada Kulkarni, I am in 12th standard right now. And my first question to you is that you said once you discover your higher purpose, the world will amaze you. But right now, there are some philosophies going on in the world, such as nihilism. It is a philosophy given by a German philosopher. It says that you should neglect all the principles, rights, because your life is meaningless. So when such philosophies or such things are going on, how should we consider our higher purpose? How should we focus on that?
Yeah. See, one thing I will assume, and I think each one of us has a sense of logical reasoning, right? Also, even if we don't study science, regardless, everyone as a human, we have this logical reasoning with us. So I would go at it this way. One thing I will first say, what you talked about, some philosophies going around. Of course, people may say life has no purpose, right? And for that, one thing I want to say is, please do make it a point to try to see the video, which I, just put a link, but I did not play because in the interest of time, that will give you some insights. But the other thing is, I feel what is important, I already said that in my presentation, it's not important to ask that or tell that life is meaningless, but it's more important to ask, what is the purpose of my life? And the context is this, the logical reasoning part that I was saying was that imagine first, very simple, right? Each one of us want to be happy. I don't know. Do you agree with this? Do you wish to be happy?
Yes, of course.
Right? So if every one of us wishes to be happy, and hopefully most people want to, then would you also agree to the fact that imagine you want to be happy, but you are surrounded by unhappy people? I don't think you can then be happy, right? How can you be happy when you'll be surrounded by people who are unhappy in some way, in any way? So what I'm saying is, the simple logic is, I make a choice in my life. I want to be happy. And when I make that choice, I also realize that it helps my goal also to see that people around me are happier. So what do I do next is, in whatever I do in life, but I also include this part that I want to be happy. So I want to see people happier around me, and I want to contribute to their happiness, right? So it already, even if you have all kinds of philosophies, it by logic, by induction, it almost becomes your immediate small purpose. You are in an office, you want to be happy. You don't want to see people unhappy in your office. If you have friends, you don't want to see them unhappy. If somebody asks you to share your notes, why would you want to not share your notes, for example? You want to be happy. Why would you want to make others unhappy? Something like that. So I feel sometimes that small logic helps, I feel, and I benefited from it.
Yes, I think I completely agree with you that everyone has their own small logic. And I'll ask Shubham to go for the next question.
Okay.
Yes. Hello, sir.
Hi,
Thank you very much for your amazing session. Really, we have enjoyed a lot. Myself, Shubham. So we are came up some questions which we would like to know from your views.
Sure.
So we have one question like how to balance between what makes me happy and what I do for my survival. For example, I love gardening, okay, but I have to do job for my survival, which requires me work for hours. So how do I manage both?
Yeah. So, I mean, this is a very classical question. I'm happy somebody asked it, but this is everybody is facing it in some way, at some point of their life, because many times, what you love to do may not give you the survival. But what my thought process or suggestion is, of course, you cannot be so random as to quit, because if you don't survive, then it's a problem. So first, stick to your survival part, continue working, but at the same time, be smart in time management, right?
Yeah.
But one more thing I want to add is, do what you love to do, but try to grow that thing that you love to do, try to grow it into a bigger thing. For example, if you love to do gardening, you would probably also love the fact that a lot more people take up to it, maybe a lot more people plant trees, right? So if you keep growing that part, I mean, even though you use your spare time, but if you keep growing that part, I'm telling you, if you excel in it, not just as a ki theek hai, chota mota, if you excel in it, there are two three possibilities. One possibility is, of course, that you could also build a profit oriented thing around it, but as long as you continue to grow it, and it may take time, because see, you are spending most of your time in your whatever is your sort of survival kind of thing. But because you are passionate, if you are willing to excel, if you are thinking about it day in and day out, you will get ideas. And I'm telling you, people have made profitable venture out of anything. For example, I'm just telling you, imagine if I mean, I'm just giving an example because it will sound so unattractive. Imagine I have only passion to see every place clean. Like I want to sweep, jhadu lagana hai mujhe. But I personally feel, if I'm really passionate, but if I don't stop thinking about it, if I keep thinking and spending more time, energy, meet people, for example, when he talks about gardening, does he know the best person, the most admirable person in that field? You get ideas. These ideas multiply. So same way, if I'm passionate about cleaning, I will probably create a company which will guarantee any campus, any public place, I will say, when my people go there or whatever effort, you will never have to complain. If I excel, people would prefer to call me and say, why don't you take this up? Why don't you, we'll pay you, but why don't you take this up and maintain it clean? But you will see that passion will really help even in a profit making kind of a venture. And you should never stop learning. Like if the person says gardening, just never stop, go to the peak of it, right? Not like this flat, but go to its peak. What are the limits? Cross all limits in your mind. Okay, then both the things are possible. One is either profit making venture, because then both become things become one, right? Your survival and your happiness part become one. So that's the ideal state. Or the other thing is, maybe your survival continues, or you could go your gardening thing, you can take it higher and higher, but more like in a non-profit kind of thing, right? You spend your time, you work with people, you make the places greener, you plant trees, and definitely if you keep doing, you will get recognition and you will get all kinds of satisfaction. And nowadays, not for profit is also supported by many people, right? But I think the
Yes, sir.
key is in not leaving it, pursuing it, and not thinking that there are limits. Just keep going. Try to be the best. Can you be the best gardener in the world, so to say? Or in some sense, can you be the best person in the world? Then there is no problem, right?
You can try.
Yeah, you can try. Yes.
Varda, you can
My
go on.
next question to you is, sir, that I think this might be a quite common question for you, but still I love to ask this. That you studied your BTech in IIT Bombay, and now you are a professor in IIT Bombay. So how do you feel to be on the both the sides in same institution?
Yeah, I mean, see, in one sense, it's it's a pleasure. You feel some kind of a pleasure, but most of the time, what happens now, honestly speaking, is that I'm so much. I love doing whatever I do at IIT Bombay so much that I actually forget I was a student here. Earlier I almost forget, because see, kya hota hai, when you do something and you go into depth into it and you get engaged, like I said, when you are able to do what you really love to do, you forget your hunger and your thirst and whatever, and in a similar way, I forget that I was a student. But sometimes when I take a walk, I go across where the hostel where I lived, then the memories all start to come back. Or when my friends come here, they start to come back, and you really feel good because a lot of people also connect with you that way. Oh, you were here. So it actually benefits me a lot because I mean, in some funny way, I'm saying that no student can give me an excuse which I can't understand that this is really an excuse because I've been a student here, right? So if somebody says something, I always say, look, I was also here. Okay. So if you're giving these excuses, give me a better excuse. I mean, that's just sort of the fun part of it. Okay. But it feels good, yeah, to be in that place again.
Yes, I think every day
Sir,
might be a day of memories for you. And I'd like to ask Amrut Kaka that can we continue or we have some time left?
I think we can have one more question probably.
Okay, sir.
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
Shubham, would you like to?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Sir, how can we intensify the process of time management so as to achieve maximum productivity while preparing any entrance exam? Because
Oh,
sometimes
for entrance exam. Okay.
any type of civil service or any preparation.
Yeah, I think, see, and yeah, entrance exam, of course, is such a, kind of a different game altogether. But I think one of the most important thing always, I know I'm kind of repeating partly, but one of the things, and I remember, writing JE and all that, I think first important thing is you have to desire it so much. Your desire should be exceptionally high, right? You should be willing to sacrifice in some way, and I think that probably everybody will agree. Now in terms of time management, I want to say two three things. See, what happens is we are all humans, okay, and we have certain limitations. Like, I even if I want to, I can't study for 16 hours no matter what. And you will see the same kind of tips given by many people, whom you will call as topper or whatever, that most of these people who are smart and who are cracking these exams have realized the fact that no matter what, you should not and you cannot study for long hours. So, two or three things which are very important, right? You have to take care of regular physical exercise breaks which refresh you. Okay, you have to become light every day. You must have those moments or breaks in which you are light and in which you feel light. You go away, maybe, and particularly physical exercise helps a lot. If you go for a jog, it completely refreshes you. The blood flow, the aerobics, and all that. So I know everybody knows this, but you have to use it in a smart way that don't ever push hard and have nice breaks in terms of exercise. And many people actually don't realize, I have become so interested in this that I kind of feel that it's so important that many people will not tell you that nutrition is important as well. Okay, it's so important. You can read up on it, but extremely important to have nutritious food. Okay, and I don't want to go into great details. It can be discovered, but I mean, I think if I were to say in very short terms, like, you should have a habit of drinking water in small quantities very regularly. You should have, for example, salads, greens, fruits, and you should not have high carbohydrate kind of food. Okay, which will also make you, somehow it affects your entire functioning. So nutrition important, physical breaks which energize you, particularly exercises, that's important. If you have that kind of ability, if you can do some pranayam, a little bit of getting into that breathing exercises, all of these things help you. I don't know whether exactly I've answered that question. And then probably the last part, I know I'm not answering directly time management, but the other very important probably thing is most competitive exam, and I think everybody again does that. I wrote JE and I came to IIT Bombay. I remember the only other thing that is extremely important is no end to practice. Just practice. And I know everybody knows this, but you have to practice a lot, a lot. I'm telling you. Like I remember taking those literally mock exams, timing it and all that. So I think that applies to every competition, that you can think of. But I think these things help a lot. Breaks, physical exercises to rejuvenate, good nutrition, some pranayam, and yeah, some lighter moments, all those kind of things help you a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you, sir.
Sure. Welcome.
Thank you very much, sir. I think we had a very wonderful lecture and a good Q&A session followed by the lecture. I thank you very much. So we have ended the day 4 of this Jhep Shibir. Now we have tomorrow. We have a speaker, which is Dr. Shri Vivek Nanoti, who is the principal of Priyadarshini Institute of Engineering and Technology, and he'll be talking on post-COVID world challenges and opportunities for youth. So this is his topic, and so we'll be assembling tomorrow again at 6:55. The lecture will start at 7 o'clock. Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much, sir. Yeah.
All right. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Yeah. Sir, just one request. Can you just share the link of that video with me? So I'll just circulate that video to the group.
Put it in the chat box here?
That is fine, sir. That will be fine.
So give me 1 minute and I will put it in the chat box.
Yes,
just
sir.
A minute.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you get it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, we have got it.
All right. All right then.
Yeah.
Thanks for the opportunity and bye.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
तुझ पंख लाभले बळकट सतेज भारी तुझ पंख लाभले बळकट सतेज भारी हे गरुड झेप तू घेरे उंच भरारी हे गरुड झेप तू घेरे उंच भरारी नव आकांक्षाची मनात तुझिया दाटी डोळ्यात तुझ्या रे नव स्वप्नांची रे गर्दी नव आकांक्षाची मनात तुझिया दाटी डोळ्यात तुझ्या रे नव स्वप्नांची रे गर्दी आकाश मोकळे तया गवसणी घाली आकाश मोकळे तया गवसणी घाली हे गरुड झेप तू घेरे उंच भरारी हे गरुड झेप तू घेरे उंच भरारी टाकी आळस दुःख निक्लेश तू झटकून टाकी आळस दुःख निक्लेश तू मनात असू दे ऊर्जानी उन्मेष तू झटकून टाकी आळस दुःख निक्लेश ऊर्जानी उन्मेष पाऊल टाकिता विवेक तू सांभाळी पाऊल टाकिता मधुर